I'm trying to teach myself to do a cartwheel.
Okay.
Because I think it would be fun to know how to do a cartwheel. Can you do a cartwheel?
That's like when you go like that.
How do you not know what a How do you not know what a cartwheel is?
I just want to make sure that. Okay, well, I'm just making sure that we're not talking about a somersault.
No. Somersault is head over heels.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
But a cartwheel is
I think
to
I
the
can
left.
do a cartwheel. I haven't done one in a bit. I haven't done one in a bit, but I feel like I could do a cartwheel.
This is Basement Birds. This is how we open the show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm trying to learn a new skill. I'm a big skills guy.
Did you not have like a tumbling unit in gym class growing up?
I did. I could never do. I mean, I could never. I've always been kind of just. My body's kind of too big for my body. Like my limbs are just kind of too long, and they move around. Like you ever seen those wacky waving inflatable tube men or whatever they're called?
That is
out in front of the. That's kind of how my body operates. I think it's never been able to work much in coordination, but that's my new skill I'm trying to do.
I could say I could try it, but I don't really have room in my apartment to do it.
Yeah, well,
it takes a little bit of space. Like the
does.
height to give some reference. I don't know how much you'll be able to see this on camera, but I think I can touch my ceiling in here, and I'm 5'10".
Oh,
yes, I can touch my ceiling. So,
well, I mean, I guess do you want to see what my cartwheel looks like?
Sure. Do you have enough room behind your desk to show us?
I don't know. Let's see.
I could do a somersault as well for the viewers. I don't want to do a somersault though. I haven't done one of those in a while.
I can't hear you because I just unplugged my ears. So
okay,
bear with me.
Okay.
So I've got a treadmill right here. Got to watch out for. But essentially, I watched a YouTube video.
It's terrible.
I don't know if I'll have enough.
This is a terrible idea.
I don't know if I'm going to have enough room. No, not enough room.
That was the most painful looking thing I've ever seen.
Maybe next week I can clear some space and we can.
Let me try.
We can demonstrate my cartwheel. Uh-oh.
You have to don't you start and you go you really have to commit to the lean. Can
you have to commit to the lean.
Can you see me?
Yeah, barely.
You have to commit to the lean. It's it's whoop, something like that.
Wait. One more time. I missed it. I wasn't paying attention.
This is I'm going to call this a height-restricted cartwheel, okay, because of the ceiling.
A height-restricted cartwheel.
If I come back here, I think I can show that I can touch the ceiling. No, you can't.
I can't see your hand, but looks about accurate.
It's something like that.
Oh,
right,
okay,
right,
yeah.
Right?
But you got to get your feet you got to get your feet straight up over you.
Yeah, I was concerned about kicking the ceiling.
Reid.
I don't have that much space, Logan. Like that? Oh God. I think I pulled something.
Oh, God.
Okay. Maybe we need to both work on our cartwheels.
I know.
Maybe
next,
with
Learning
tight
with
space
Logan.
constraints.
Bring it back. That was the segment I had.
Breath.
I know. We're out of shape.
Gosh.
But you know who's not out of shape is that Four Nations hockey team that USA and Canada sent. What's up with that?
Yeah, how about that? That was a lot of fun to watch. The final was last Thursday. So it's been a little bit since the time it's been posted, but we recorded last week before it, so we're talking about it now. Okay, Canada won in overtime. Boo, 3-2. But this was I saw that they got 9.3 million viewers, 10.4 million at its peak. And that is the highest viewed international game of all time, I think.
Yeah. No,
So
it was intense.
A ton of people.
It was intense, and I think the whole country was feeling the intensity of it. I mean, even non-hockey fans were into it, and I always love that. It's the greatest game on the face of the planet Earth. I mean, it's great to see people who are non-fans watching.
Get this, Sportsnet said that 10.7 million people across Canada watched, which is over a quarter of Canada's population.
Oh, my gosh.
That's crazy.
So many. I wonder how many people, I wonder what percentage compared to the Super Bowl that is. I mean,
okay.
You know what I mean? Because, what percentage of the United States watches the Super Bowl, I guess, is the question you can Google.
Okay, so the Super Bowl averages about 127 viewers. Most watched Super Bowl.
127 viewers.
100. Yeah, that's it. It was just a small group. No, 127.7 million U.S. viewers, and the U.S. population is 340 million. So that would be right around a third of the country's population was watching the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Aren't those ratings crazy? How they do TV ratings? On a side note,
yeah. How are they judging that though? I mean, are they? That's
Isn't
how many
it the Nielsen
sets
ratings?
we're watching. Yeah, but the Nielsen no, the Nielsen ratings are like how stations get ranked, but like for
okay,
there has to be some sort of metric to know.
Yeah, that's more
I think probably
audiences,
from cable providers, they got to have some sort of tracking metric.
What confuses me too is so this says that they had 9.3 million people in the U.S. with 10.4 million viewers at its peak. Where's the 9.3 million recorded? Where do they get that number from?
Average.
That's average throughout? Okay.
Average throughout 9.25 million average viewership throughout the whole game. So,
I see. The article that I'm looking at does not state the word average, but that makes sense.
Yeah, record-breaking viewership. The final game attracted an average of 9.25 million viewers, underscoring the growing interest of international hockey competitions in the fierce Canada-U.S. rivalry. That was from Yahoo News.
Yeah, I'm looking at ESPN. I think this easily was better than an All-Star game, though. By far. I think what you saw is that I found it interesting. You had the NHL that were doing this Four Nations Faceoff, wildly successful. We've talked off air about this, about how it gave me kind of that same feeling as that first Winter Classic in Buffalo that ended in the shootout with Crosby scoring.
Yeah.
Storybook way to end that, and you have a storybook way to end this first tournament as well, and just how it goes in general. And then on the flip side, you have the NBA, who is lost beyond lost with what to do with their All-Star game. The two polar opposites of what you could do, in terms of a mid-season break for the All-Star game. This one, I didn't watch any of it, but I heard that it was, an absolute mess.
Yeah. One could say caca poo poo.
Yes.
Would be an accurate way to describe that. I just know I was going on TikTok and I was seeing replays of the skills competition where the guy, I don't remember who it was just throwing the ball on the ground. Like he was doing the speed, like the 3-point and like dribble.
Chris Paul and Wembanyama, they just speed ran it.
Right. And you go from them just literally throwing the ball on the ground to the very next TikTok, 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the hockey game.
Yeah.
And you cannot tell me that is less entertaining than basketball.
Absolutely not.
I mean,
absolutely not.
I know a lot of hardcore, and I mean, now we're talking specifically about the NBA, but I know a lot of hardcore basketball fans who don't watch the All-Star game, who don't even watch the NBA, period, just because the NBA is so bad now. Also, the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl, I know a person who's really into the NFL and football in general does not watch the Pro Bowl because it's stupid.
The Pro Bowl has always sucked because guys aren't going to be physical with it.
Right.
Which is understandable, but then just
it's not. No, it's not, because 3 fights in the first 9 seconds just throws that all out the window. Okay. I mean,
but okay. I
don't know. That was always my problem with football, though. That was always my problem with football, is that they play one game a week, and it's just a lot of
they can get
crybabies.
They can get beat to hell in those games. The difference between the Pro Bowl and the Four Nations, though, is that if it were an actual All-Star game for the NHL, you would have seen no fights and no hitting.
But
so it's kind of an apples to orange comparison. But it wasn't.
Wasn't.
But if you
that was their All-Star break game, so I mean, you could compare it. There has to be some sort of comparison, because that was their All-Star game this year.
No, I don't think it was. No,
they're not having an All-Star game.
Yeah, so there just wasn't any All-Star game. It wasn't a replacement. It was a replacement for it. It wasn't supposed to be an All-Star game.
Exactly.
It can't be an All-Star game if the whole league isn't eligible, though.
I mean, yeah, it can. The whole league doesn't participate in an All-Star game.
Yeah, but you need to have all the whole league be eligible for it, at least. A lot of people could argue that the Four Nations Faceoff, as good as it was still, you were still, not including some of the, best players in the game.
Like who? Ovechkin?
Alex Ovechkin. You have a ton of good Russian players that you missed out on because of, different countries.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think people were just looking forward to U.S.-Canada anyway.
Oh, I think so, absolutely.
I don't know how much that would have impacted the outcome of the tournament. Now, I guess if you're just trying to showcase talent, then yes, we were missing some people.
Yes. That's why I'd say it's not an all-star game.
Well, but again, we saw probably more talent in these series of games than we would have in an all-star game. So
because guys just like any other sport, they don't try in the all-star game. They give these rich athletes a cash prize to play for, and do they really care if they're winning? They're going home with the Honda Pilot at the end of the night.
No. Well, the Honda Pilot is for the person who's picked last in the draft, or at least that's how it used to be.
I think they do it for the MVP now.
Oh, well,
there was that whole thing how Ovechkin wanted to be picked last the one year because he wanted the car, which was hilarious. But anyway, going back to the Four Nations Face-Off, I think it was a very big success. The NHL also announced that the World Cup of Hockey would be coming back, which was great, in 2028. They're going back to the Olympics, of course, next year, which is also fantastic after 2 Olympics off. I think it's really did a good job of, regardless if they bring it back in the future or not, I think it did a great job of getting hockey fans re-interested in international play, because I don't know about you, the last 2 Olympics without having NHL teams in it or NHL players in it, I didn't really watch because I didn't know anyone on these teams. That was representing the U.S. or Canada,
Yes.
So I think this has kind of reignited the spark in, international play. You see the passion from the guys. You get a ton of non-hockey fans interested in, I have a buddy at work who's not a big hockey fan, but was watching U.S.-Canada. He watched the third period in overtime, and like he came to me, he's like, I want to start watching more hockey. I'm like, that's great. Not everyone's going to have that intensity, but great,
Right. I mean, start watching the playoff hockey maybe.
Yes.
Because that's literally what it felt like to me. I was saying that to Nicole when we were watching that game. I'm like, this feels like every game is a playoff caliber play,
Absolutely. I mean, you have guys like the Tkachuk brothers, Obviously, Brady has never been in the playoffs, but you have a guy like Matthew who won the Stanley Cup last year, and he's saying, he was on the Tonight Show, I think, last night, and he said that, that was the, highlight of his career playing in the Four Nations Face-Off, that final game, and he won a Stanley Cup last year.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. That kind of shows the weight that it has for, for these guys compared to, what you would normally see.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you said they're bringing back the World Cup of Hockey. I think it reinvigorated the international play.
Yeah,
I think it probably, like you said, will open up the doors to a lot bigger audience with recognizable names in that tournament. I mean, we throw it back to the Miracle on Ice. It was just the anniversary of that this year, a couple days ago, and that was a bunch of college kids because they didn't have NHLers in the Olympics at that time either. So you got a bunch of college kids for the United States taking on Russia, the Soviet Union at the time.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the most talked about hockey games ever in this country. So, there's an argument for both, I would think. And, and if you have college kids, you have junior guys, they've got something to prove. I've sometimes felt in the past that the international competition maybe falls a little flat. Obviously the Four Nations, it did not, but the World Cup of Hockey was kind of, and
I don't remember watching much of it, but
right, and I think it gets a little bit of that all-star itis that we've been talking about for some of the other sports, but. You know what? All those kids, if you're getting people who aren't in the NHL, they've got something to play for. They're trying to make a name for themselves. That's watching the World Juniors. I mean, that is some fast, good hockey with everybody playing on level 11 because they want to make the NHL. And so,
yeah, I've never liked watching the World Juniors. None of those guys play defense.
Well, it's just
the defense sucks in those games because everyone's trying to score and look good for the scouts in the crowd, which I can't blame them for. But
it's just it's a different game. It's a speed game. It's close to the AHL. I mean, the AHL is a lot of I mean, there is some defense, probably more than the World Juniors, but it's an offensive game for sure, and people just trying to make a name for themselves and show what they have to offer. And so that's kind of what you get, though.
Yeah, I think kind of going back to how this has, reignited that spark of international hockey. I didn't realize that the World Cup has only occurred 3 times since it was, started.
Right.
Because before that you had the Canada Cup, which was between this saying 76 to 91, and the World Cup has only been played 3 times in 96. The U.S. won, and then Canada won in 2004 and 2016. So if anything, I think this has reignited that desire for the NHL to have a consistent, kind of cycle for these games. They've talked about how the World Cup of hockey will be at least being played in 2028 and 2032.
Right, because that'll be every 2 years. Then it'll be every 2 Olympics, then 2 years. World Cup of hockey.
Yeah, and then who knows if they bring back the Four Nations Faceoff? It seems like that's kind of still up in the air. Or if they'll bring back a traditional All-Star game. I personally wouldn't hate to see a rotation of like World Cup, Olympics, All-Star game, and Four Nations, because then you have something different each year. Because I don't think at this point you need an All-Star game every year for a league. Like the ECHL this season didn't have an All-Star game. They still named All-Stars. Still name All-Stars. Say who the best guys are throughout the season. Yada yada. Give out the awards and such like that. But you don't need to hold a game every year.
Yeah, I'd like to see. It would have been interesting to see a skills competition added. As maybe another leg to the tournament. So like, hey, maybe that if you get more teams, maybe you make it the Six Nations tournament. Then you can have Russia. You can have a couple more teams in there, and then you do a skills competition for seeding. And whoever gets the most points in the skills competition, that'll determine your seed. You do that maybe first day or two, first weekend of the tournament, and then the next week is when the games are played and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I always liked watching the skills competition, and I always thought that was fun. It showed a little bit of creativity, hardest shot, fastest skater and stuff like that. Then it got, a little, I felt like people just stopped trying as hard, it wasn't like it used to be. So
the like core parts of the skill comp are good, like fastest skater, like the shootout competition, hardest shot. They try to do all these like different relays or the different quirky ones that they have like each year, and I feel like those kind of fall flat, but the core ones are good. I did find interesting too, I heard for the World Cup in 2028, if you remember back, they had that North America team, which were the 23 and under teams.
Yeah.
I've heard that won't be coming back in the new iteration of it. So that opens it up to another country to be able to to be in, essentially,
I like that. I thought that was a cool idea. Whoever came up with that was
interesting.
Was really thinking.
But last time they had like a Team Europe for all the other European teams that didn't quite have enough to field a team of their own. So I don't know if they, do something to split that or what it'll quite end up looking at,
Or they just do a Four Nations and say "Nurch to you all," and we'll just care about U.S. and Canada, So, I mean, that very well could happen. I mean,
I don't even know.
I remember though liking I forgot about the 23 and under team. I remember watching those games again because it's a different style. It's a faster style of hockey. I mean, I think that's kind of where the game is going though. Is away from the physical fighting to a finesse speed game.
Yeah.
And so maybe in 10, 15 years, I mean, who knows, hitting might be taken out of hockey, and then it's a totally different game. Then we're playing, then we're playing like women's hockey. I mean, because women's hockey, you watch that compared to men's hockey, they don't hit. Mm-hmm. So it's a speed game. It's a lot more like an all-star game almost, except for again, these people are fast. They're trying really hard.
I would say there's a lot more focus on mobility and agility with everything.
Right.
I think you're seeing that still at the NHL level, even with hitting. Obviously, still, I don't think hitting will ever be fully removed from hockey, but I think just the way that, guys are finding that, it is a lot more productive offensively to be able to just skate around a guy than to go body on body with him trying to get past him, and that's where you're seeing the speed and the mobility and, the edge work that guys are having that they're bringing to the game. That's becoming more and more important in this faster game. I mean, you have McDavid that can absolutely fly, and all these guys that can just fly around. I think it's just becoming a more speed and skill game compared to years past.
Right. I mean, I think they'll take out body checking. I don't think they'll take out all body contact, because body contact and body checking are two different things.
Yeah, I think
and really a lot of what happens with body checking is it just turns into, quote, punishing the opponent. And, and the original purpose was to separate player from puck. Well, nobody's really lining that up and lining up anymore. People are too good to just go and get flipped over with a hip check,
Exactly.
And so they might get rubbed off the puck. They might bump into each other in the corner, but nobody's just going to fly in and just smash you into the glass for no reason, I mean,
exactly.
So that's I think maybe what they'll take out first, but I feel like that's a conversation for a different day.
I would say it's kind of like, I think what would be considered like that, like incidental contact, which like is allowed in the women's league. You aren't having open ice hits or anything.
Body contact,
but
body contact is allowed. Body checking is not.
It's the contact in the corners. It's fighting for a puck, and it's net front battles. It's stuff that is part of hockey. That if you tell a guy that, or the player of any league that you can't do that, they're going to look at you like you're crazy, because it's just part of the game, because it's moving so fast that sometimes it just can't be avoided as well,
Yeah, and I mean, again, that's the being a referee, you have to be able to discern the difference between body contact and body checking.
Yep.
Because men's league, there's body contact is allowed, body checking is not. A lot of the younger ages, I think checking starts at bantam now.
Yeah, because they get the little stop sign on the back.
Yes and no. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Okay, I feel like that's
rule,
like
the rule used to be a bigger rule where if you see the stop sign, you can't hit them. But now, it's a lot. You have a lot more leniency in how you call hitting from behind. And again, it's not as big of an issue as it used to be. So because hitting is kind of on the way out, and that's why I say that, is because I've heard the rumor that within the next 10 years, checking will be taken out of youth hockey in the United States. So
that would be interesting, for sure.
It'll be interesting, absolutely. But not as interesting as odd news, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, what a segue. What a segue.
You want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I need to get to my right tab. Here we go. This takes us to the grand old state of Pennsylvania.
Woo!
Where I live, and this is a man getting a record for his collection of unusual curiosities, slide charts.
What?
Do you know what a slide chart is?
No idea.
Well, this takes us to Dale in Harrisburg, the good old capital of PA, Harrisburg with Dale. These are handheld paper or plastic items that can help with common calculations. He started collecting these in 2002 when he found a box of them for sale at a used bookstore. He pulled one up and thought, it's sort of cool. I think I'll get that. And as I thought further, I realized, I can get this whole box for under $10. And that's when the collection began. He has said his collection of slide charts and their similar cousins, wheel charts, now number 3,117.
I see.
He got the record by submitting only 1,111 eligible charts to be counted. And his collection includes charts designed to convert measurements, track NFL football schedules.
Oh.
And a 1970 Miss Clairol chart for determining the proper formulas for hair coloring. This is a great quote to end it. Somebody did all the math, did all the pre-calculations, printed it on this, and now I have these answers right here in my hand.
So do I. You ready?
I would say
Boom.
That sounds like he walked out of a time machine and was like, "Look at this great thing I have, guys!" And everyone's like, "All right, well, we have a phone. I can find out how to color my hair just with my phone too." But good for Dale for his slide charts.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I guess everyone has their niche, right?
Everyone needs a hobby.
Slide charts,
are
it. you know what? Good for you. I'm glad you got the record. You know.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
I know as a fact our other friend David Rush has a hobby as well, and his hobby is breaking world records.
Oh my god, yes. Not collections though. Well, I guess
no,
he has a collection.
He collects
world
record
records.
plaques. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man breaks juggling world record with a bowling ball and a balance board, ladies and gentlemen.
What the
This
heck?
is an Idaho man with multiple Guinness World Record titles. His name David Rush.
Idaho
talked about
too?
him many, many times. Yes, Idaho, home of the
That
potato.
explains so much because there's probably nothing else to do in Idaho besides break records.
Yes, he holds the most concurrent Guinness World Record titles, Mr. David Rush does, and he put his strength and coordination to the ultimate test when he attempted the record for most juggling catches of a bowling ball and 2 balls on a balance board in 1 minute. That is so specific. I feel like each one of these records
to understand
each one
this.
of these records is more and more specific, which is interesting.
So he's using 2 regular juggling balls and then 1 bowling ball in the mix.
1 bowling ball, yes.
There's a great clip of this guy he's in the video with just absolutely eating it off this balancing board. How do you get on this thing correctly?
You kind of just jump on and you're off and running. But he said the
like
hardest part wasn't even the juggling or the balancing. You know what it was? The coordination of both, along with the added challenge of the bowling ball's weight and the board's instability. So
that was such a cop-out answer.
Yeah.
The hardest part wasn't, when I was baking the cake, the hardest part wasn't mixing the batter or melting the butter. It was putting them together.
Rush said there was an added challenge of not being able to use the balance board he practiced with, as it was too large for easy travel. So apparently
he has to
practice. You know what, man? I don't know. But he said every time I caught the bowling ball, the board would slide across the rolling rock floor, creating a super slippery surface. Felt like I was juggling on ice, he said. That is pretty impressive, though. But he was able to set the record. Rush managed to do this with 243 catches in 1 minute.
Holy cow. Yeah, you can see this
243 catches of just the bowling ball.
Yeah, this is interesting. So the bowling ball is going left, this is really trippy to watch.
It is. It's impressive. He said, my biceps were screaming by the end of the attempt, but the real pain came from the outside of my wrist. He was dealing with tendonitis, a common issue amongst bowling pin jugglers, which made every catch even more painful. But you know what, David Rush? We're glad you dealt with the pain. You powered through. You got yourself a one-of-a-kind world... Oh, wait, no. He's got way too many world records. He holds the most world records. So I feel like he can slow down with the wacky record attempts. I don't know if you feel the same way.
I don't know. I think he can... How many... Did we ever figure out how many he has now? I just found his website. Oh my gosh, there's an autoplay video on here. Holy cow.
Is it loud?
Yeah. Compared to us. More than 300.
Oh, mama. Most alternating fist bumps. Maybe we should just look at his website.
Oh, gosh.
www.davidrush4stem, STEM.com.
What?
davidrush4stem.com.
I'm on recordbreakerrush.com.
Oh, so he's got multiple websites.
Are you on a legit one, or are you getting scammed here?
This is... I mean, this to me seems like a legit... This was the first one that came up on Google.
He's an author, too. Wait, listen to this. He was a former startup product manager at Cradlepoint, the most valuable tech unicorn exit in Idaho's history. Oh, this guy has to be loaded. This company got bought for $1.1 billion.
That's probably why he just walks around and breaks records. He doesn't work.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't work, yeah. Oh, the STEM website is for his STEM talks. Oh, this is a bad website, too. Holy cow, this looks bad. David Rush needs to redesign it.
This guy, he's balancing a lawnmower on his chin that's running.
This guy's wacky.
A running lawnmower on his chin. Are you kidding me?
I want to look at more about this company.
52 Guinness World Record titles in 2024 is how many he broke. One a week. Are you kidding me?
I'm trying to figure out what cradle point is.
I don't know, but we're running out of time. Unhinged.
Wow.
Basement Birds. Thanks for listening. Next week,
Yes.
be sure to tune in. We got another crazy, absurd story.
Yes.
It involves my father again.
All right. A tale as old as time.
A tale as old as time. He's getting in himself some more wacky
more trouble.
situations. So be sure to check back right here on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. As long as it's one of those two, we're on it. We're also on Instagram and TikTok at Basement Birds. I took Reed's job this time.
That's okay. Don't take the night off.
I know. It's fine. You know what? I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.